Alright, this is the second take of me recording this. This is What If Female Deku with Muzan Part 6. So, I got the suggestion for Miyu's hero name by Warhound for her hero name to be Muzan, as I do quite like the idea of a name that once struck fear being the name of hope, being the name of a new sign of hope. So that will be her hero name. So we'll pick up where we last left off, with Miyu being carried away by the winged Nomu. As while she's being carried off, she is trying to get out, but she also notices that the other Nomus that had managed to escape, that managed to get away from the heroes, are following behind them. With Miyu having the idea of slashing her hand to leave a trail of blood behind her. So she slashes her hand as a trail of blood is left behind. As we'll cut back to Yurichi and everybody else in Class 1A hearing that Miyu had been kidnapped by the League of Villains. And while everybody is thinking of a way to save her, Yurichi has basically completely shut down emotionally, because the love of his life has been taken by villains, and he couldn't do a thing to save her. With everybody who had a positive attitude towards Miyu, namely being Mina, Kirishima, and I'll say Uraraka agree to help her, and they ask Yurichi for his help to get Miyu back, with Yurichi agreeing to get Miyu back. With us getting back to Miyu at the League of Villains base, as she is currently chained up in the same chair Bakugo was in canon, with her in her current base form, with Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and every other member of the League of Villains, including the guys who just joined recently. So people like Toga, Dabi, and everyone else are looking at her, as Shigaraki tells them to keep their guard up. This isn't just any ordinary hero in training. This is the hero that took out their strongest Nomu. With Miyu then looking up at Shigaraki, giving him a death glare, as she would say, "What do you want from me, handyman?" With Shigaraki saying, "We want you to join the League of Villains." With Miyu just snickering and laughing, saying, "Do you really think that I would join the League? You, a ragbag group of thugs with no coordination and is barely capable of beating and is barely capable of beating the students of EUA. Yeah, I think I'll pass. With Shigaraki getting annoyed at this, as All For One is currently calling through the monitor, as Shigaraki asks All For One, do we really need her? All For One says, yes, we do need her due to her abilities. As we then cut back to the group who are saving Miyu. As while they're walking through the city, they notice some blood, with Yoriichi getting a whiff of it, as he can tell this is Miyu's blood. As they would ask, how can they tell? With Yoriichi stating that when they were training, Yoriichi had gone the scent of her blood on from her due to their training being quite extreme. So Yoriichi knows what her blood smells like. As they would then see more as they would proceed to follow the trail. As soon as they begin to follow it, the blood behind them begins to dissolve and disintegrate. With Shigaraki asking her to join again, with Miyu saying no, as Shigaraki would say, well then suit yourself, as he would pull out a knife and stab Miyu in one of her hearts, with Miyu thinking that this was childish, as she would feel a large amount of pain from it, as she would look down and see that they were the same crimson color as Yoriichi's blade and stained sword. With Shigaraki saying, we've analyzed your weakness, we've analyzed you for a while, and we know that the material that knife is made out of is one of your weaknesses. So I suggest you begin talking before I take out the other 6. With Miyu still refusing to talk, as Shigaraki then stabs another one into her other heart, as Shigaraki says, that's 2. As Miyu would begin breathing heavily, as Shigaraki would say, so, will you join us? As Miyu basically spit in Shigaraki's face, as Shigaraki would then stab another one in her other heart. Now, some of you may be asking, why doesn't Miyu just break out right now? It's mainly because she is still exhausted from her fight with Stain, so she can't really access her full power at this point. And 2, the blades that are stabbing into her are currently draining her due to the amount of time it'll take to regenerate those injuries. With the group finding where Miyu is and sending the location of it to the pro heroes. With the pros getting the message, as they then begin the Miyu rescue mission. With Miyu currently having 3 of the crimson knives in her chest, as Shigaraki would then ask her, you reconsidering yet? With Miyu telling Shigaraki to bite me, as as Shigaraki would take another knife and stab into another heart. So she's down to 3 hearts right now. With Miyu breathing heavily due to her body nearly going into shock, as the villains would hear a knocking on the door, as they would hear somebody say pizza delivery, with them all looking at the door, as All Might would come smashing through the wall to rescue Miyu, with Miyu saying that you took your damn time, All Might, as all the villains would be rounded up, as the heroes would break Miyu out from her restraints. As Yorichi would be there, as he would see that Miyu had been stabbed in a couple of her hearts, as Yorichi would help to pull the blades out so that she could heal, so she could finally close up those injuries and heal up and regenerate her hearts. With Shigaraki stating that All Might, he ruined his plans, he ruined them, it's all his fault, as he would then scream, "I hate you," as Nomus would then begin to come out of the black puddles, like they did in canon, as Miyu and the League of Villains was teleported away, as Yorichi would scream, "Not again!" with All Might screaming no, as he did when Bakugo was teleported away, as all the League would fall down, and Miyu would land on her feet, coughing and sputtering, as All for One would say that, so the legends are true. You really are the Muzan Kibutsuji from years ago. As Miyu would begin to cough, as she said, "So you know who I really am then." As All Might would say, "How could I? Your fight with the Demon Slayer Corps has gone down in legends. I decided to research that legend and found it all to be true. Now, I will be taking that power of yours and use it to finally kill All Might." With Miyu saying, "Yeah, that would be a good idea, but that would go south for you pretty quickly." With All for One stating, "Then if you're not going to willingly give it, I will take it by force." As All for One would dash towards Miyu, with her quickly shifting into her combat form to stop the blow and grab All for One's fist, which she manages to do in the nick of time, with Miyu immediately pushing All for One's fist away from her, with All for One saying, "You aren't as powerful as the myth said, so I'm guessing they were a lie." As he would then dash towards her, as he would end up landing this punch, as Miyu would be sent flying into a building, with Miyu beginning to cough, as due to most of her energy being diverged into regenerating her heart right now, she is not fighting at her full capacity, as All for One would fly towards her, as he'd begin to smash her into the ground, as All for One would say, "Come on, I know you are better than this. I'm expecting a real fight from the Demon King." As All Might would arrive on the scene, as he would send a Detroit smash into All For One's face, which would send him flying. As All Might would have been there when All For One said that he expected a bear fight from the Demon King. As All Might would ask, "What do you mean by that?" As Miyu would say that now's the time to discuss it. I'll talk about it later if we live through this. With All For One beginning to get up from the rubble, saying, "All Might, you always know when to interfere, don't you?" With All Might saying that he will deal with All For One, while she tries to deal with the League of Villains. As Miyu's rescue group would be there at the battlefield, as Yorichi would jump as Toga would try to come up and stab Miyu with one of the crimson knives, with Yorichi blocking it with his sword. As Miyu would say, "So you finally caught up to us." As Yorichi would say, "Now's not the time." We managed to somehow, but I'm pretty sure these people will probably end up killing you if you don't be careful. As Miyu says that she is well aware of that, and it is dearly noted. With them beginning to battle with the League of Villains, with Miyu taking on Toga, Magni, and Spinner, while Yorichi takes on Mr. Compress, Dabi, Mr. Compress, Dabi, and Shigaraki. With Miyu dealing with Toga, Magni, and Spinner pretty easily by slamming Toga into the ground, throwing Magni into a building, what was left of a building, and sending Spinner into the air and slamming him back into the ground. With Yorichi dealing with Shigaraki by kneeing him in the face, dealing with Dabi by using... Alright, where was I? Yorichi deals with Dabi by using his breathing techniques to defeat him, and using the see-through weld to see Dabi's weak points. As he would deal with Mr. Compress by just knocking him out, by headbutting him. As Miyu and Yorichi would have beaten them, they would look back to All Might's fight with All For One, with All For One just delivering that massive air blast move that caused All Might to go back to his skinny form. But this time, it actually blew All Might all the way back into the building with a civilian in it, with All Might surviving and the civilian still alive. As this is being broadcasted live on TV as All Might is trying to get back up, as All For One is approaching. As All For One would get to All Might, as he'd say, "Goodbye, Toshinori Yagi." As he would go to land his punch, with Miyu standing in the way, blocking it, with her back to 100%. With Miyu going back to her muzan, complete muzan mode, as she would say, "You pitiful, pitiful creature. you think that you could try to take me away, use my power, and try to take it? You are just asking to be killed. With her looking up towards All For One, as her eyes are completely red right now. Like the normal red eye color is basically glowing at this point, as she would punch All For One, which would send him flying into the air, as she would jump up into the air and kick him back to the ground, as she would basically be playing a game of Pong with him. If you've seen like those like funny skits of like Pong going on with the bad guy or the good guy, that's basically what she's doing right now. As she would then finish it off by slamming All For One into the ground, as All For One would be critically injured, as he would begin to crawl out of the crater that you had put him in, with All For One having already sent the members of the League of Villains away, with him getting out of the crater, turning around, as Miu is slowly walking towards them, with her hand poised to kill him, as All For One would be begging me at this point, asking me for mercy, with me looking at All For One saying, "For somebody like you," with her hand like arm bent backwards, she would say, "For you, there is no mercy," as she would go to kill All For One, but just before she could finish him off, Yorichi grabs her arm, as he states, "That's enough. You've got him." As Miu would begin to calm down, as she would revert back to her normal form, as she would say, "Thank you for Yorichi, for preventing me from doing the same thing that I did all those years ago." As the broadcast would be showing this, with them hearing what Mia said, as people begin to ask, what did she mean by that? With dawn breaking and All For One being taken to Tartarus, as All Might would be standing with the help of Miyu and Yorichi, as All Might would point to the camera and say, you, it's your turn now." Oh yeah, I don't think I said who's All Might's successor. All Might's successor is Mirio. Yeah, going with the blind one, where if Deku isn't All Might's successor, is Mirio. With Mirio hearing this, as he would begin to live up to All Might's expectations, with Miu getting back to her apartment with the help of Yorichi, as she would begin to yawn, something like that, as she would basically, as Yorichi would help her lie down on the couch, as she'd say that she's so tired from all that, as she, as Yorichi would be lying down next to her on the couch, as he would say, that was exhausting, as Miyu and Yorichi would both fall asleep in each other's arms. And that is why I'm going to end it off. I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.